We are here, the semi-finals of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. One game, one chance, one shot, and only one spot in the final for the two teams playing the first semi-final between Nigeria and South Africa. So here's my full preview of this semi-final clash.
I don't know what I'm doing.
All right, so welcome back. My name is Dennis Seram, as always, our African football over here. So this will be the ninth straight meeting Nigeria and South Africa will be playing at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. So every single WAFCON tournament since 2006, they've been playing, and this will be the ninth straight time. Amazing it has been that these two sides are always playing in every tournament. But let's get into the game itself. So Nigeria qualified to this spot by being unbeaten the whole tournament, winning is it 4 games now? Yes, no, it's 3 games now. They won 2 in the group stages. They beat Botswana and also beat Tunisia. Then the knockout stages in the quarterfinal, they beat Zambia by 5 goals to 0 to get to this spot in the semi-final. So ahead of the game against South Africa, well, Nigeria's player Estelle Koronko believes that the team is actually confident and very prepared to win this game against South Africa.
No, we don't have any. We don't have any pressure at all. We're prepared. We're gonna come in tomorrow and do the best.
And ahead of this game too, South Africa have not lost a game at the WAFCON since 2018. So that's like 7 years. They haven't lost any match. But Nigeria's coach believe that he's going to end this streak. They are going to end this streak, and it will be no more said that South Africa have not lost at the WAFCON after the game.
Records are meant to be broken.
Yeah.
No matter how long it takes, one day it will be broken. And we are hoping that by tomorrow, by the grace of God, that record will no longer exist.
So there's a lot to be decided for in this game when Nigeria face off with South Africa. A lot to be decided of. But let's get into the team itself for this match. And Nigeria made a very bold call in the quarterfinal when starting the game. They started, I think, about 2 or 3 new players. Estelle Koronko, who normally didn't started. Also Jennifer Chegini, who normally didn't started. And then Veronica Hiziu also started that game. So it was kind of a bold call, but it worked out perfectly with Nigeria getting that win and all those players scoring very early in the game. But for this game, there is also to be said whether they can really we'll see research repeated players making the starts, or it will be going back to the old players who started their first game. So the first game when we saw Asisa Oshoala, Resola Babajide start and play the game. But now we'll see saying or a new set of players who start that game. But also another interesting thing to look at is how early Nigeria or how well Nigeria really starts the game very early in this game. So in their very first game against Tunisia, they scored very early in the game. Scored, I think, by the 3rd minute or so, and went on to win that game by 3 goals to 0. In the second game against Zambia, they scored very early. After 1 minute and 50-something seconds, they had scored. So the early goal always pushed them on to win by a bigger goal margin as compared to when they played against Botswana. They didn't score in the first half and had to wait till the 80-something minutes to get their goal. And then when they played their 3rd game against Algeria, they didn't score in the first half and they didn't even score the entire game. So maybe an early push for Nigeria will be what we could be expecting to see in this game when they play against South Africa. On the other hand, for Team South Africa, well, it's a difficult journey for them to this point because they played their group stage and knockout stage games in Ujda, far away in Ujda, which is about 10 hours if you are driving from, that is, Ujda to Casablanca, where they'll be playing their second game. So the team had a long journey, that is on the 20th, and today is the 21st. They had a long journey on the 20th from Ujda to, that is, Casablanca.
Good morning, everyone. We traveled yesterday, so our first preparation will be today. So we haven't really started preparing on the field, but we started preparing off the field already. One day in between is not a lot, but you've done a lot of work beforehand So we just try to touch up on certain things.
But yes, the game is coming off, and whether they've traveled or not, they'll have to play this game against Nigeria, which is expected to be a crunch one, a very tough and crunch game between South Africa and Nigeria. But the bigger thoughts is how will be the approach for South Africa when they play this semi-final clash against Nigeria. So they've already played one game against Ghana where they struggled a bit but managed to scale through with a win. They also played against Senegal. They struggled a bit, but in the end, they still managed to scale through with a win. So how will South Africa really be able to adjust for this game against Nigeria? That is the biggest question to get to note. And it's also evidence that if you watch South Africa's last game against Senegal, they struggled a lot with the long balls. You could say on many occasions, Senegal would just pink those long balls. They're just playing those long balls and it just flew all the way. And because the Senegalese players were so tall and way bigger, they just bullied the South African players out of the way. They bullied them out of the way, pick the ball, and then get an opportunity. But unfortunately, Senegal were not clinical enough in that game. If they were clinical, they could have probably gotten a goal or two. But they were not that clinical against South Africa. But Nigeria, it would be a different question because if you watch the game between Nigeria and Zambia, it was all about the long balls. Nigeria's first goal was from a long ball. Okurunko, long ball. Then Ohale got the header to score. The second goal for Nigeria was actually a long ball. Cross from Ajibade on the wings. Cross, and it was chested by Esther Okurunko, and then she guided the ball into the nets. Even the third goal was a long ball from the goalkeeper, that is Chiamaka Nnadozie, sent a long ball in. Then it was miscontrolled by Zambia in the air, which fell to Veronica Hezio. She controlled it and then scored the goal. So how will South Africa really be able to adjust with this when they are facing this time a team who are a lot more clinical up front? In their earlier game, Senegal were not so clinical, but this time Nigeria have proven to be clinical when they get the good chances from the last game they played against, that is Zambia. So it's a dicey situation here and there. But if you go into the history books itself, as you always have to do for a game like this, it seems to favor Nigeria a lot more because in the last, I think, 21 years or so that they've been playing, it's Nigeria who have won the most times. I think they won 6 times. Yes, 6 times Nigeria have won, and South Africa have won only 3, which started from 2012, won 1 in 2012. They won 1 in the group stage in 2018, and also won another in the group stage in 2022. So in the knockout stages, essentially, they've been able to beat Nigeria only once. That's in 2012. Apart from 2012, every single time, if it's the knockout stages, it's Nigeria who have been getting the advantage. So even historically, that puts Nigeria ahead of South Africa in terms of the history books. But as the coaches and everyone has been saying, this game is always on paper, not always on history books. You go on paper, who is the best team on paper is the one who actually gets to win the game. So it's going to be a crunch game. It's going to be a dicey game. And we are really waiting to see who's going to win this one, who's going to win this one. But tell me in the comment section, who do you think is going to win this one? Nigeria or South Africa? The pick is yours to tell me in the comments.